Alright, hello, welcome back everyone to Chapter 5 of Star Wars Rebel Force. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The situation is more dire than even you know, Princess, General Dodonna said, his expression sorrowful. When the General requested a walk through the lush temple grounds, Leia had expected nothing more than an evening of polite conversation. But the General obviously had more serious concerns in mind. Concerns that he preferred to keep between the two of them. A substantial portion of the rebellion's funds were located on Alderaan, the General said. Leia flinched at the name of her home planet. Just hearing the words sent a shockwave through her. Beautiful, peaceful Alderaan, blasted into a billion pieces of space rubble. Every being on the planet ground to dust, millions of lives lost in a heartbeat. In her heartbeat, as she stood on the bridge of the Death Star, helpless to stop it. There was nothing she could have done, she knew that, and yet she still hated herself for it, for doing nothing, while her planet, her past, her own father, were lost forever. She forced her memories back inside of herself, not wanting to reveal her weakness to General Dodonna. The funds, along with several key financial access codes, were lost with the destruction of the planet. The General continued. We find ourselves in dire straits. Of course, the rebellion lives and breaths through the sacrifices of its brave fighters, but, he sighed, I'm afraid we must not lose sight of the more practical concerns. Without sufficient funding, we'll have no ships, no weapons, no defenses, and no hope of establishing a new base. All the funds were housed on Alderaan? Leia asked, surprised that the rebellion leadership would have been so foolhardy. The General shook his head. This is why I wanted to speak with you. We have a set of secret accounts on the planet Munilist. Leia started in surprise. Although the intergalactic banking clan has been disbanded, Munilist, its former home, was still the financial heart of the galaxy, and an imperial stronghold. Thanks to their financial skills, the Muns were one of the few alien species actually tolerated, and even respected, by the Empire. But Leia knew there was still a strong imperial presence on the planet. It will be dangerous to retrieve the funds, General Dodonna admitted, but it must be done. Our contact on the planet, Mac Lunium, is holding a data card containing the access codes. Once you retrieve them, he's agreed to help you transfer the accounts off-world and get you safely off the planet. Get me safely off the planet? You're the only one I can trust for a mission like this, Princess. Not so long ago, in what seemed like another life, Leia had preferred to be addressed by her other title, Senator. Proud as she was of her royal birthright, she was even prouder of the work and determination that had gained her a seat in the Galactic Senate. Now, however, the titles seemed interchangeable. The Senate had been, Alderaan was gone. And the person she'd been, the peace-loving princess, the silver-tongued senator, that was gone too. General Riken's expecting me on Delia in the Alderaan system, Leia reminded him. A group of Alderaan survivors, beings who had been off-world when the Death Star attacked, had begun to assemble there. Leia was eager to join them. She had told General Dodonna that she'd hoped the survivors might agree to join the Alliance. And this was true, but she also felt a deep need to be with her people, and not just because she was their leader. They were all she had left of her homeworld. They needed her, but she needed them just as much. If all goes well, this should be an easy mission, in and out, the General said. You can go directly from Munilist to Delia. That is, if you're willing. Of course, General. This was the only possible response. Whatever the Alliance asked of her, Leia would give. Excellent. I've arranged transportation. You'll leave tomorrow evening. Mac Lunium is expecting you. And Luke. Luke? I thought it might be best for him to accompany you. He's certainly proven himself as willing and able to assist the cause. And if you want him off Yavin 4 in case the Empire comes looking for him, Leia thought. But she couldn't disagree. And she would be glad to have Luke with her. It would have felt wrong to leave him behind. Why is that? She asked herself. She barely knew Luke, and yet in the short time they'd been together, he had come to be important to her. More than that, he seemed almost a part of her. He's not really the only one, she thought. Han's infuriating grin flashed across her mind. Leia shook her head, trying to brush away the image. Focus on the rebellion, she reminded herself. Nothing else matters. I won't let you down, General, she assured him. You never do. He rested a hand on her shoulder, favoring her with a smile. Leia stiffened, suddenly reminded of her father. She had lived for the moments he'd smiled at her like that, loving and proud. She would never see that smile again. Once Leia briefed Luke on the mission, they headed to the spaceport. It was always a good idea to rendezvous with the pilot before a mission, especially since they only had one day to formulate a strategy and assemble supplies. As they approached the hangar deck, Leia spotted Chewbacca, wheeling a cart of lubricant hoses toward the Millennium Falcon. As always, the dilapidated Corellian fighter appeared to be held together with tape and good luck. But Leia knew from experience that it was tougher than it looked. Han, leaning against the Falcon's aft hull, offered them a jaunty wave. "What are you still doing here?" Leia asked sourly. "Waiting for my passengers." Han flashed that incredibly annoying smirk of his. "Don't worry. Once Chewie's finished tweaking the hyperdrive, he'll lay out a banquet fit for a princess. I know how you royal folks like to travel in luxury." Chewie let out a long, warbling whine. Han rolled his eyes. "I know food service isn't a part of your job description, you furry oaf." He leaned toward Leia and lowered his voice to a loud whisper. "That's the problem with Wookiees. Can't take a joke." As Chewie roared in protest, Leia forced herself not to smile. She knew Han was just trying to get a reaction out of her, and she wasn't about to comply. "What makes you think I'm going anywhere with you?" Han shrugged. "No one's forcing you, Highness. If you changed your mind about going to Munilist, that's your business." Luke's eyes widened. "You're our transportation immunalist?" Han gave a mock salute. "At your service." "Thanks, but no thanks, flyboy." Leia shook her head. "This isn't your fight, remember? I'm sure you have better things to do on the other side of the galaxy." For a second, Han looked wounded. Leia felt guilty. She didn't mean to say that to him. They just popped out of whenever he was around. If only he wasn't so infuriating. There was just something about him. She often wished she'd never met him. But deep down, a rebellious part of her didn't want him out of her sight. Han scowled. "Look, your worship. You know this bird's the fastest and fiercest in the galaxy. You want to get somewhere, the Millennium Falcon's the way to go." "And what's in it for you?" Leia asked suspiciously. "Nothing," Han said. Chewbacca yelled, and Han shot him an annoyed glare. "Okay, fine. So there's a little something in it for me, but it's barely enough to pay for the fuel. Then I'll drop you two on the Leia, and you'll never have to see me again." "I knew it," Luke said, sounding overjoyed. "You can talk all you want about running away from the rebellion, but when it comes right down to it, you're not on our side." "Hey, slow down," Han protested. "I'm just flying you from point A to point B. Trust me, it's not because I'm joining your nutso rebellion." Luke shook his head. "Say what you want, but I know you believe in a fight and want to help." Leia looked at Luke in amazement. He sounded so sure, like he could look straight through Han and see the truth of his soul. Leia wondered what he would be like to be so certain about people, to look at them without doubt or suspicion. She might call Luke naive, but there was something bold in his willingness to trust his instincts, even when they were wrong. "I appreciate the vote of confidence, but you've got me all figured wrong," Han said, sounding almost sorry. "I'm not wrong." There was an unusually steely note in Luke's voice, different from his usual young, questioning tone. "I know you, Han. I can see the good in you, even if you can't." "Not everyone has a good side, kid. Not everyone's like you." Han glanced at Leia. They were alike in this, she realized. Both of them saw the danger in Luke's willingness to trust, and maybe both of them envied it. The sooner you figure that out, the longer you stay alive. And that brings us to Chapter 6. Very good. Very good. There goes my bookmark. Well, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And like always, I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. And please continue to let me know if you guys like this. And really if you guys want to see anything else. Thank you again for being here. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to stay cool. And I will see all of you in the next video.